Starting lineup, uniforms, and apparel present the WOA Senior AA Men's Hockey League podcast.
Hello once again, everybody. Andrew Rogers here, the host of the WOA Senior AA Men's Hockey League podcast. This is episode number 18. It's great to be back with you guys once again for a brand new week. Yes, this is we are on. This is the Monday. It's like I said, episode number 18. We have some great episodes coming up this week. Today's episode, we have Bradley Craven, the Minto 81s trainer, coming on with us. He'll be on shortly. On Wednesday, we have Matt Slotwinski and Jeremiah Goodacre coming on from the Petrolia Squires. And then on Friday, we cap off the week with Chris Greer, the captain of the Shelburne Muskies. He's coming on alongside his goaltender, Edward Davey. So it's really exciting to have all of those guys on this upcoming week on the WOA Senior AA Men's Hockey League podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Rogers, as always, and I want to thank Mitch Scott of Starting Lineup Uniform and Apparel. It's great to have him aboard with us on this venture of this podcast, and we couldn't be more happy to have him alongside. If you guys want to if any of you guys are watching and you know of any businesses that might want to get involved, from a perspective, if they want to get some recognition, I'd be more than happy to entertain that thought. I got plenty of room here, so if they want to come on, they're more than welcome. They can reach out to me no matter what, all over the social media, whatever they want to do, whatever's easiest. I'm good to go on that front, and more than happy to have them on. Anything to do to support local business and local ventures. It was great when Mitch came to me about wanting to get involved with Starting Lineup Uniform and Apparel. I was more than happy to entertain that. Is more than happy to help him out. But like I say, we're onward to today's episode and today's guest. He is a longtime trainer for the Minto 81s, and before that, he spent some time with the Mount Forest Patriots. We please welcome in at this time our guest on this today's episode of the podcast, episode number 18, from the Minto 81s, Bradley Craven. We welcome in our guest at this time on this today's episode of the podcast, episode number 19. Number 18, I believe it is. This week is 18, 19, and 20. But anyways, we want to welcome in our guest at this time. He is a longtime trainer of the Minto 81s. His name is Bradley Craven. Bradley, welcome to the podcast. Great to have you here.
Hey, Roger. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Just trying to get by just like everybody else, I'm sure.
For sure.
First question I have for you that I've been asking everybody is that comes on here is how you doing? How are things going? I know pandemic hit everybody a little bit differently in terms of how they had to adjust everyday life. How are you doing with all of that?
Well, I'm doing all right. I actually, at the time, I was unemployed, so it was not much of a change. I got to stay home more, and then I've actually started a new job within the last couple of weeks. So at Colonial Brick and Stone over near Milverton.
Okay.
So I've been working lots and then staying home.
Now, that's great that you've been able to get back to work. That's awesome. I mean, a lot of people kind of didn't luck out so great with that because they either had to be laid off or they were getting EI. They weren't able to keep working. I was lucky and fortunate that I'm still working. I haven't stopped working, which has been great. But I know some people haven't been so fortunate. Now, I also know, though, that in terms of the pandemic alone, not only did it affect you from a hockey perspective with the 81s, considering where we were in the season when it ended, but I know there's also other things that are also equally affected by COVID that you're also suffering from. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was diagnosed with depression actually the day the season ended. So I've been kind of figuring out how to manage that sort of deal and getting back to life.
No, but I mean, I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, that's terrible. As someone who kind of understands a little bit about that, I can understand the ramifications of having to go through it, and I wouldn't wish it upon anybody. That's for sure. But what I mean specifically by that is, I mean, it's one thing to have being in a thick of a playoff race with the 81s, having that season go to an end. But I know you're also heavily into baseball, and I know that's been hugely affected.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of odd that I'm not like playing ball right now. It's usually every Friday night playing and going to tournaments or watching ball, and so it's kind of different that way.
Can you take me back to when the news broke that the 81 season and the whole WOA playoffs and everything else was suspended? Like when you first got that initial news that at least it was temporarily on hold and there was still some glimmer of hope, and then eventually it all got shut down permanently. Can you take me back to when you found out?
Well, I was actually the day before. I went up to watch my nephew play one of his last hockey games and in Palmerston, and I was talking to Ryan Fisk when he was coaching his kid there, and he said the league was meeting and Hockey Canada was meeting the Thursday night, and so we would probably know if Hockey Canada got shut down, then we were getting shut down. So I was actually at the rink when I kind of heard that it was a possibility on Thursday night. And I was sitting basically right where I am right now at the table when I read the news that it was done.
And like, what was your initial reaction? Like, was it one of sadness? Was it one of disappointment? Like, what were you thinking at that point?
I was kind of down. It was just kind of odd. Like, when you're on such a high on the comeback that we were on against Ripley, and it was all of a sudden there's nothing when you're getting ready for a game. There was all of a sudden there's no more hockey for anybody, for the kids or anybody.
Right.
It's just kind of odd.
No, absolutely. I mean, it all shook us a little bit differently. I think we can all agree on that. Now I also understand that, like, as a trainer, it's a different perspective in terms of how you look at the game. It's one thing to be a player. It's one thing to be a coach. It's another to be a fan. It's another to be a trainer. No knock on the trainers, because I would never knock how hard that job is. But I think a lot of people don't really understand how difficult that job is.
Oh, it's tremendously hard. We work long hours, but they're enjoyable hours when you work with great people like I do with Paul Drummond and Chucky Groshaw there. We get along great and have a lot of fun. We know we go at each other, but it's all in fun, and it was just we try to set up for game day. That way it's a lot easier on us instead of putting the 10-12 hour days, it seems like, for a 3-hour avenue. So the players get there.
So take me through that process. Like, what is your essential role, I guess, as the trainer of the 81s? Like, from start to finish, even like, you know, like on a game day, what's the process? What do you do?
Well, for me, I'm a lifer at the rink. I get going for rink. So if say the game's at say 7:00, I'd be there at like 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, just puttering around, hanging jerseys and cleaning up the room and stuff like that, popping the door off between our two halves of the door and stuff like that, filling water bottles, pulling the skate sharpener up, setting sticks up and stuff like that if it's a home game. If not, we're packing shirts for the road and that sort of deal to load up the car to travel up to the game.
And now, how long have you been associated with the senior league?
Oh, as a trainer, it would be started back in 05-06.
Okay.
And then I spent half a season with the Drayton Icemen in 09-10 too, and then I returned to the 81s after Christmas that year.
Okay. Now, what's the best thing about being in your role in this league with the 81s, even specifically? What's the best takeaway for you from it? What do you get out of it?
It's still you're in the room with the guys and having fun, and that's if you can't play, the second best thing to do is be in the room having fun with a bunch of guys and jokes and everything like that. Like each guy is a little different than that you have a bond with. Like Zach Graham, I've known him for years, and there's even some guys that I've known from their minor hockey days and junior hockey days and stuff like that I had when I was with Mount Forest,
right,
as a trainer.
Yeah, there's a lot of Mount Forest product with the 81. There's no question about that. And like, does it give you a sort of a sense of youthfulness being involved to watch it kind of evolve the way it has?
Oh, it does. I go back and watching the old Drayton Comets days and the old Palmerston 81s and stuff like that from when I was a kid. To seeing it now, it's like night and day different hockey. It's way better hockey now than it was when it was back in, say, 98, 99. And, right. Yeah, and the players have just gotten way better.
Is that the biggest change you've noticed, is how the speed has drastically changed, or is there a bigger difference that you've noticed in your time there?
Well, players have gotten better, bigger, stronger, faster, and more skilled. And whereas the physicality has decreased. I remember when Kevin Beaumont was there. He was basically an altogether all around hockey player. Could physically do it and uh, and score at the same time. And then we lost him in 05-06, which was tragic for our hockey club. But it was just one of those things where life happens. But yes, probably the speed of the game has picked up so much.
Right. Now, in terms of being a trainer, you have like a firsthand view. Like, you have one of the best seats in the house to watch a game, as standing on the end of the bench and just being able to watch alongside the players when they're on the bench. In terms of, like, is there somebody that you could pick out over the years that you've been involved in this league that you could say, man, this guy was, like, above all else, one of the best I've ever seen?
Well, I would say Kevin Beaumont, but another one would be Ryan Black.
Okay.
His son is graduated from the Meyer Sugar Kings, and we're hoping that he comes our way this year because he lives over in Fergus.
Right.
But Ryan was just a tremendous hockey player. One time I watched him. He was a power forward. I watched him one night in Durham from the neutral zone. He backhanded a puck into an open net, and just like it was like nothing for him to do it, because he's just a big big strong farm boy, and
right.
that would work Percheron horses and stuff like that over the years. So he was just a monster of a man, but a gentle soul. So I still keep in touch with him.
Cool, man.
To this day.
Is that one of the neatest things about this league, is the relationships you build in terms of not only from a hockey perspective, but outside the game as well?
Oh yeah, it is. It's kind of neat. One night earlier in the year was up in Shelburne for the regular season game up there, and I had three of my former Patriots. That are on Shelburne. They kind of came and gave me a hug and sort of deal, and said it was nice that I was still involved in the game, and I said same with them. So it is kind of nice that way, where you can kind of go up and have a beer with the guys or a pop or whatever, and just like visit and catch up when you don't all see each other now because of work and college and stuff like that.
Sure. Would it be fair then to say that that's what kind of fuels you to keep being involved year after year, is those relationships and that camaraderie that you've experienced over the years there?
Yeah. Every year I kind of say I'm going to hang it up, and then I come back for another year, and because I want to focus more on my ball. But yeah, that's basically what it happens. It keep drawing me back about August, start thinking about, I'm going to miss seeing that guy come to the rink and me walking in through the door, and I miss the shenanigans that go on in the room and that sort of deal. So
what was last season? What a roller coaster for the 81s. I mean, I was alongside you the whole way,
Yep.
And I did all but 3 games total out of the, I did 29, I think, of 32 total games that the 81s played last year. Mm-hmm. You were there for every second of it. So
except the Elora games. So
yeah, but as well as I do from a complete perspective, like what a roller coaster season it was. Started out really, really slow. They got off to a rough start, turned it on late in the season, and had what would have been a Cinderella type playoff run until everything got canceled. Take me through the season from your perspective. Like, what do you take away from it?
Well, I started in September. I looked at we had a lot of talent, and bringing in some talent like with Harrison and Koala and some of the new young defensemen and that sort of deal that were coming in. But we pretty much returned everybody, so we added a couple of key pieces. And when we started off slow, but when the whole league way they changed the rule this year with players where you could draw from wherever,
right?
It just, so you never knew. We knew we had to go to work every night. The effort was there. It just at times we were snake bitten at the start of the year, and then the night that Zach finally walked into Seaforth, and he just kind of said, "Let's go, guys." And after that game, starting a game or two later, we just turned it on, and we made a Cinderella run like that. So, which is kind of nice to see. when a hometown boy comes back.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was huge. Like, the turnaround was unbelievable. I mean, talk about Zach Graham. Like, I know you say you've known him for a long time. Like, you hate to put all the emphasis on one player specifically for being the reason why a team is successful, because it takes a whole team coming together to be successful. But boy, did his impact coming in turn everything around.
Yeah, when you had a guy like Zach Skill that played down D3 down in the States, and his personality, it's happy-go-lucky, and just everybody just kind of fed off that. And some of them played with him before or played ball hockey with him and knew him before and knew what kind of person he was, where he wanted what was best for the organization, and everybody lining up next to him, sitting in the room and stuff like that. It just kind of was the drive that we just needed that straw that would start stirring the drink, and we had the ice there for it, but we just needed that one straw to start going with it to mix it.
Right. No, I think that's a great analogy of that. I want to ask you though about that top line, because once Zach came into the fold, Wade got moved up from defenseman to forward, and Adam on that side just made that line so dynamic. Like, how impressive was it from your perspective just to watch them operate on a nightly basis?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, Zach and Wade I've known for a while too, and they can throw a puck around, and then you add that dimension of finish capability of Adam there, and it was just unreal on those three going together, and they just seemed to find each other and sort of deal, which was kind of nice.
Now, one of the things that you're responsible for essentially throughout the games is anytime a guy would go down, anytime a guy would suffer an injury. I know this past season, Minto had its share of setbacks in terms of the injury front. I know one of the big ones was Austin Gaburi when he went down, when he tore his ACL. Take us through that, like what happened on that play, and I guess take us through that moment, that like how scary was that at the time?
It wasn't his ACL. It was actually his meniscus, and he went down and he got back to the bench, but something didn't feel right for him. So we talking to him on the bench. We got him over to the room, and we knew it wasn't right when he was still having a hard time taking off his shin pad and skate and stuff like that. As soon as we got the both off and looked at them, we knew he was done for a while. We hoped he was back sooner than later, but he was able to rejoin us in the new year, which was extremely good. So, because he's a guy that can play up and down your lineup on your top three lines. So
yeah, he's a fantastic player, and he's got a ton of skill, a ton of speed. He's a great centerman he can win draws. It's the interesting part about him is that he's small in stature, but he plays big. So I was really impressed by his game last year.
Yep.
Now, so when it came to the goalies, I thought that was really interesting about the 81s last year. You had Ben Nelson, Mark Williams, a really solid 1-2 punch, probably one of the better ones in the entire league. Can you speak to how impressive their play was this year?
Yeah, I remember watching both of them and playing junior hockey, and Ben lined up from a couple different teams, the Patriots, on with both Mitchell and Wingham. And then I watched Mark play junior B in tier 2. And when you can put a number 1 junior C goalie that could have played B or a little bit of B there, and then he went back to C, and then you put Mark with him, it's like a 1-2 punch where it's any given night you throw a goalie in there, you have 2 number 1s, so it's really good when you can find that in your league. There's not many tandems around.
No, and I think it's so important because you can't put all the emphasis on one guy, because your team's just like you can't handle that. It's just a lot of work when you only rely on one guy all the time.
Oh yeah, you can never rely on one guy, because their guys might have to work, or that's because of a Christmas party or something like that.
Right. Now,
and that's just the working man's league. So
that's just it. Everybody's got lives outside of here, and they all got something to go home to. Work, family, you name it, right? Like that's the reality of the situation. In terms of this league, would you say, like, one of the things that I've seen that have been heard that players have echoed throughout this league is how important dedication and commitment is, and like, is it? I guess how often have you seen where guys have said, okay, we'll commit at the beginning of the year, and then they kind of phase out? How much is that? Like, how is that as important as they say?
Oh, it's really important. Like you commit, you want to your true commitment. You want it to be come February 1st, where it's gonna where you need 4 lines deep to make a run, where your top 2 lines might get a little more, or you might need your bottom 2 lines to pick up some slack depending on what the score is in a hockey game. And whereas in the regular season, you kind of need everybody too sharing minutes and getting ready for the playoffs, but it's more so important in come playoff time when you need that commitment to go.
No,
you
absolutely.
want to win the championship in this league or in any league.
Yeah, like, I mean, the guys got to be there. They got to buy in. Like, not just, and there's a level of seriousness there for sure. But I also think that, to keep it loose and keep it light, and to kind of keep that sort of, okay, we know what we got to do. Let's just go out and do it. I think that attitude has to be huge.
Oh, for sure it does. And I remember hearing stories from Ryan and Scotty Richardson, and even the year when we last won AA in 02-03. I wasn't with them, but I remember hearing when Scott Cherry came in, played 5 regular season games, and just tore a strip off the league, and basically put the team on the back, because he became that guy that would light it up.
Right.
So
now, in your time, so let's go back when you were doing your time with the Patriots. Can you pick out a specific moment that you really remember the most, that sticks out the most in terms of being the highlight of your time there?
Well, it was a home game. I'm not sure if it was against Walkerton or if it was I think it was against Walkerton. We were playing them in the in a playoff game, and the place was packed. I'm not sure if you've ever been to the new rink there, but we had it packed. Even there was people around down by the room and stuff like that. And we were kind of down. All of a sudden, we scored a goal, and the whole place erupted, and it was just it just sent shivers up my spine. Like, oh, this is all right, kind of feeling. Let's keep this run going. And fortunately, I didn't get a championship ring there, but they've turned around and made a good run here the last few years. So I'm happy alumni from them.
Do you have any like funny stories from your time there? Like any particular ones that you recall?
Well, I would always give it to Dylan Hoffman. I would everybody would unpack their bag, hang their gear. His gear would just be stuffed in his hockey bag. And even now, he's getting better now that he's buying his own gear, but he would leave it all in, and every so often, Brad, have you seen this? Have you seen that? I don't want to go in your bag. It stinks. Hang it up.
That's Hoffman.
And he'd probably say the same thing. So just having that funny character even around now is it's pretty awesome.
That's Hoffman, man. I mean, I only knew the guy last year, and what a character guy he is. Like, he's definitely that kind of guy that you need to keep things light. You know, I mean, again, having the seriousness, you got to have it. Competitive drive, you got to have it. But man, having a guy that's loose and light like that, you got to have him. What a character guy.
Oh, he is. And
and in terms of in terms of when you in your time in the senior league with the 81s, talk about your relationship with the other coaching staff. Like, what is it to work alongside those guys, Ryan, Abe, Scott?
They were all players under me at one point, so it was kind of neat. I've known Abe since I was in grade 8, so it was
no kidding.
Yeah, and I've known Ryan for years too, through ball and that sort of deal. He used to sharpen my skates when I was in school, or his dad, or Rick would. So it was kind of neat now that we're on the same staff. We're trading ideas and stuff like that. So it's kind of neat getting those guys back together. Even with Todd Bender too. He was a couple of go arounds with the 81s when I've been there. So
I want to ask you about Dan Hill. Because he spearheaded this whole thing. Team president. He's responsible for a lot of things when it comes to the 81s and their successes. Like how impressed are you with the work he's done with this club?
I shouldn't say impressed. I knew it was in him. I was either his wife or both of them sat on minor hockey executives years ago, so I could see how hard he works at different things he's involved in with the community, and as a former player, he wanted to see it come back. So, yeah, I'm really impressed on it, and if I do hang it up, I'd love to join him on the executive and
Well, there
stay
you go.
involved.
It's good to have options after you decide that, you no longer want to do the trainer thing. Um, so in terms of, again, so last season got canceled. This upcoming year, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, a lot of people are worried that the season might not happen at all. Some people are worried that, it'll be like, there's no question it's going to be different, even if it does go off when it's supposed to, which, there are some people out there that are of the belief that we're going to have a season start when it should. What's your take on that? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, we'll probably have a season. I'm not sure if it'll get off right in October or not. I'm sure there'll be some guidelines that we'll have to follow. And I just kind of looked over some of the guidelines that Hockey Canada and the OHA, even though we're not under them, have. Like, they've wanted more hygiene. So from our perspective, it'll be little cleaning water bottles more and everything like that. And it'll just be a little different. Like, I don't think there'll be a major difference. It might. I know we won't go without any fans because that drives a volunteer market, drives attendance and stuff like that. That you need somebody's coming in. If not, it's just way too costly for a donation type league when you don't have millionaire owners like what, say, the NHL guys or the OHL guys, or even high end companies that are back junior B and junior C teams and the tier 2 teams. So
yeah, I think there's no question that the sponsorship angle is going to be really tough this year for a lot of teams, because like sponsorship, no question, drives the hockey club to be financially stable. And if that money's not there, then they're going to hurt. No question about it. When it comes to, so what, like, if somebody was looking to get involved in this league, to not just to play for the 81s, but to play in the league in general, like, what would your sell to them be? What would you say to them to encourage them to want to do that?
Oh, well, whether you're coming, it's about being with the guys and wanting, committing to have fun and enjoy the hockey. It's unreal hockey. And or even if you want to, I know every team could always use support staff and that sort of deal, or executive members. But if you want to play in the league, you gotta pretty much now have to pretty much play junior hockey of some level to be able to line up with it. So
yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, it's no question it's turned into a young man's game, and it makes it that much more exciting. So hey, who's your NHL team that you cheer for?
Well, I know you're probably going to hate me, Raji, with seeing the Leafs jerseys back there, but
I'm
in Ottawa. My favorite team is Ottawa.
Oh man, I can't believe you just admitted that on this podcast. Oh man, are you at least excited to see some sort of, like, are you excited the fact that there's some form of normalcy coming this way soon? I mean, like, things are slowly happening, and it seems to me that, like, there are talk that sports are going to be coming back eventually here, but there's seems to be a lot of disconnect between what should be happening. I know there's a lot of talk right now going on, at least in MLB, about what's going to happen this year.
Yeah, I read those reports today, and it was just players still want to make their wage, but at the same time, if they got to play in front of empty stadiums, the concessions and stuff like that would help pay for those salaries aren't going to be necessarily be there. So I think what they should do is go a prorated thing. For a number of games, you get the X number of dollars on prorated, like what it's compared to when an NHL guy goes to Europe,
right?
And breaks it down towards an NHL salary kind of deal with the number of games they play. So something like that should kind of happen with the Major League Baseball. And I know the fastball, the top end fastball league, the ISC that I follow a lot, they shut down their World Championships for August today. So
yeah. Well, it's like I say, I mean, things are happening, some things aren't, and it's just a wait and see game, I guess, at this point. I mean, there's only so much I think we can all do at the end of the day. So, just trying to think if I got anything else for you. I mean, like, I guess at the end of the day, like, I guess the question that probably everybody has on their mind, maybe within the 81s, are you going to come back next year, or are you going to leave us all in limbo?
Well, I kind of talked to Ryan back in when this all happened about around Easter time, and I kind of said, I think if there was closure or whatever, I probably would have elected to hang it up, but I think without the closure there and not knowing whether we could have went on the run, I think I'm going to go on another run. So
yeah, all right.
So I'm hoping the boys are going to watch all this and they're getting in shape now and getting ready.
Well, I don't know if they're getting in shape. Maybe pounding back the cheeseburgers until there's an official announcement. But
some of them are still finding ways to work out.
That's important, man. You got to do it. I mean, I know there's other guys in the league that are, so it never stops. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it just doesn't. But anyways, I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank you for coming on the podcast and talking hockey, talking senior with me, and I've really enjoyed having you on, Brad. It's been great.
You're welcome, Roger. It was a blast.
It was great working alongside you last year, and hope to do it again this season. So thank you very much for joining me, bud.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Once again, we want to thank our guest for today's episode, Bradley Craven from the Minto 81s. He's the trainer over there, and we thank him for coming on and sharing his thoughts with us. It's always great to talk with him, and we look forward to having him on again down the road. In terms of the next episode, we have Jeremiah Goodacre and Matt Slotwinski from the Petrolia Squires coming on Wednesday. Make sure to check that episode out. It should be good. And then on Friday, we have Chris Greer and Edward Davey coming on from the Shelburne Muskies. Jam-packed week of WOA Senior AA Men's Hockey League podcast guests. Should be a lot of fun. Want to thank Bradley Craven, my guest. We want to thank Mitch Scott of Starting Lineup Uniform and Apparel. And I want to thank you, the viewer, for watching another episode of the WOA Senior AA Men's Hockey League podcast. I'm Andrew Rogers, your host, saying good night, and we will see you on Wednesday.